It's gonna be a minute.
Once it's done, I have nothing to do. Sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know. You have like 20%, it's cool. By the way. Yes, sir. That's you have to go to 39. That's out of Colorado. Also, the outfits in Mexico, you heard like, so like, why are you there good right now? It's because, in, we ran away to Mexico, right? We had our rains around plenty of times, but we had a Mexico, the laws got thrown out. But, you know, we ran away together and it never popped up. I mean, the non-Mexican was popped up, but they never put the costume on us. And that's why we figured we were okay from here.
All right, good afternoon. This is the municipal court for the city of Montesano. And we have arraignments to start with this morning. And the first for this afternoon, the first arraignment I have is Melinda DeFrance. If Miss DeFrance would step forward.
Step up, please.
Hello.
Okay. Even though we're virtual, we are in court, so I'd appreciate if you could take your hat off.
Oh, my apologies.
That's fine. You are Melinda DeFrance?
I am.
Mr. France, you are cited into our court with a charge known as driving suspended in the third degree. That's a misdemeanor offense. It carries a maximum penalty of 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. You were provided some paperwork regarding your arraignment today. Did you go over that document?
Yes.
On page 2, you're notified of the rights you have in this court. You have a right to an attorney. You have a right to trial. At trial, if your case did go to trial, you have a right to hear and question the city's witnesses and have witnesses testify in your own defense. If convicted at trial, you have a right to appeal. Do you understand those rights?
Yes.
Okay. And I did find probable cause to the charge today. Looks like you're indicating you are pleading not guilty. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've requested a court-appointed attorney.
Yes.
And is this an accurate representation of your financial status?
Yes.
Okay. I do find that you're eligible. We'll appoint the city's public defender to represent you at no expense.
Thank you.
You were cited with a no insurance violation, and that matter will trail along with this criminal charge, and perhaps your attorney might be able to help you out with that as well. So looking for our court dates here for the upcoming months. We'll go ahead and set this matter on for a hearing with your attorney on March 22nd. So between now and then, you'll be provided with his contact information. Please make contact with your attorney and do your best to get this resolved.
I will do so. Thank you.
Good. And that concludes your arraignment today. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, the next case I have is City versus Michael Adams. Mr. Adams would step forward. And you are Michael Adams?
Yes,
Good. Mr. Adams, you're also charged with the crime of driving suspended in the third degree. Did you hear me state the maximum penalties to the young lady before you?
yes, Your Honor.
Good. And did you hear me outline the rights that you as a defendant have in this court, or do I need to go through those again?
No, I understand it.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
To the charge, driving suspended in the third degree, I did find probable cause. How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. Before I go too much farther, do you have a license today?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm working
do you
on
want-
getting it back.
Do you know what you have to do to get it back?
Yeah, I just gotta start paying on my fines that went to collections, and so they can release the hold and go
Okay.
pay to get it back.
It looks like you have a few warrants as well, and looks like
Yeah.
Aberdeen and Hoquiam. So are you making arrangements to take care of those?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to have some time before you enter a plea to see if you can reinstate your license?
Yeah, I guess that'd probably be better.
Okay. How much time do you think you'll need, Mr. Adams?
Couple months,
Okay.
maybe 4 months.
Well, let's do this. Let's schedule this for, we'll continue arraignment to March 22nd of next month, and we'll see where things are at.
Okay.
And then you can decide how you want to move forward from there. But this looks like a case that you might be able to just do a few things and get your license reinstated. So I'm willing to give you an opportunity.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Please sign for your next court date, and we'll see you again for your continued arraignment in March.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, to my knowledge, I think we have taken care of the arraignments that are present unless it's indicated otherwise to me, so I'll come back to our 12:45 docket and just move along to our pretrial calendar. Mr. Rhodes, Mr. Duncanson, is there anything you'd like to call out of order here?
Before we move past the 12:45 docket, Your Honor, just want to make sure the court received a motion and order regarding April Dawn Rogers, which was an arraignment on the 12:45 docket. We had sent the court a motion and order for dismissal without prejudice. They would ask the court to do that.
I know I saw it come through, but we don't have that printed out, so I am familiar with that. Once I've had the opportunity to review the motion and order, I don't see any reason why I won't be signing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just wanted to address that before we moved on.
Okay, we'll head back to that one and now on to the pre-trials. Is there
Yes.
anything the two of you would like the court to call?
We do have Rodney Keck present over from the jail. I believe it's on for a bail hearing, I think.
It's pre-trial conference. Bail was set already.
Okay. I don't know if we want to take him out of order.
Have you had the opportunity to speak with your client?
Yeah, I spoke with him shortly before, or just a few minutes ago. As far as the pretrial goes, that'll probably be continued, but I was going to just try and make another argument for either a PR or a bail reduction.
Okay. Mr. Rhodes, are you okay with taking City versus Rodney Keck right now?
No objection.
Okay. The court calls for Rodney Allen Keck III. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Keck. You've had the chance to speak with your attorney?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Duncanson, you wanted to address release, I think, with the court?
Yes, the first motion would just be to release him on his personal recognizances. He does have a place to stay that is not the address of the alleged victim at, which I believe was 9 Popular Road, Unit 8 or 9. It is still at 9 Poplar Road, but he does have a place to stay at Unit 18.
They're in spot 39.
They're in spot 39, sorry.
And how close is that in proximity to the alleged victim? Because there is an order out of Colorado.
At least 1,000 feet.
At least 1,000
At
feet?
least 1,000 feet.
Mr. Duncanson, if released, what assurance can you provide the court that there will be no interfering with witnesses or contact with the protected party?
Well, I've spoken with him about the potential consequences of just this. So I believe he's aware that if he does contact the victim again, then he'll be looking at a second charge and additional jail time. And also, I don't believe, or I believe if we put an order where he is not, as a release condition, not being able to communicate with any witnesses or the victim, I don't believe it'll be an issue for either of those parties to contact the court or the jail and say that he's contacted them, and he'll just be picked right back up and put back in jail, and his release will be revoked.
Mr. Rhodes, what is the city's position?
Your Honor, without the file in front of me, I frankly don't know enough about the background facts of this case to make an informed recommendation to the court. I would just say I defer to the court's discretion on this.
Okay. And what about pretrial, Mr. Duncanson? Are the parties moving forward in any direction with pretrial today?
I was just going to request that pretrial be continued. I just got notice that I was even appointed to Mr. Keck today, and I have only had that brief moment to really glance at the court's file. I haven't received my own copy of the discovery or the police reports, or even a copy of the Colorado protection order.
Okay. Well,
Which
we'll
is
set
it-
for- go ahead.
I will say it also does not appear that the court has a copy of the Colorado protection order either.
You must not be looking in the file in the correct spot because there is one.
Okay, I must have just missed it, sorry.
All right, well, I'm gonna reduce bail to 0. So, Mr. Keck, I'm releasing you on your personal recognizance. You're to maintain contact with your attorney. You're not to have any criminal violations of the law. You're not to contact any of the witnesses in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're to provide a valid address within 24 hours of your release. And it goes without saying, but I'll say it, you're to abide by the protection order issued out of the state of Colorado, Boulder County. So are we clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor. I understand. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll get Mr. Duncanson a copy of this order. We'll also get it over to the jail. And so hopefully my decision to release you isn't proven to be a bad decision, Mr. Keck.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand.
All right, so we'll see everyone back here on March 22nd then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Three violations, and it's a felony. So just take a wide berth, don't contact her, stay away.
Mr. Rhodes, I see that we have Mr. Arnold present. Does he have a case that you two have figured out?
I'll let Mr. Arnold speak to that. I think we're ready.
All right, Mr. Arnold, if you can join us, unmute yourself. We have to do. If you'll get me one, I'll sign it. Yeah. Mr. Rhodes, the only matter that Mr. Arnold has is that city versus Douglas Zimmerman.
Yeah, I believe so, Your Honor.
Okay. My court clerk.
I'll be right
is-
with you, Your Honor. I'm in another court. I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, Mr. Arnold, once you're ready, if you'll just turn your video camera on, that'll indicate to me that you're ready to go. In the meantime, Mr. Duncanson, Mr. Rhodes, is there anything in addition that you'd like
Yes.
to call?
We do have Calvin Akana, who is present on Zoom.
All right, Mr. O'Connor, there we go.
So on this one, me and Mr. Rhodes have continued to negotiate. I believe we are very close to a resolution in this case. There's just one thing that we need to look into. So I was going to request a 1-month continuance. I'm 100% positive that come next month, we'll either A, have a resolution, or B, be setting for trial. So
Mr. Rhodes, anything the city would like to add?
No, I agree with Mr. Duncanson.
Mr. O'Connor, do you understand what's going on here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, your attorneys requested that the case be continued for 1 month, and I'm going to grant that request. So we'll reset the matter to come on the court's docket for March 22nd. So we'll send you notice, and I think we'll still be doing Zoom by then. So if that works easiest for you, it will be available.
Yes, it was easiest for me, Your Honor.
Okay. Stay in touch with your attorney. It sounds like he's working on resolving your case, and we will see everyone next month.
Right. Thank you, Your Honor. Goodbye.
Thank you.
the next matter ready would be Christopher Cooper.
Okay, give me just a second.
Let me step right up here.
Okay, Mr. Duncanson, who did you call?
Chris Cooper.
All right, looks like we have a license violation and a trailing infraction. What are we doing today?
Yes, I was going to request that both the pretrial and the infraction be continued over 2 months. Mr. Cooper has 2 things holding his license up, both out of Benton County, and he's been in talks with the collection agency already. He was just waiting on paperwork from Social Security to get onto a repayment plan. So we're hopeful in 2 months he'll have his license and be insured, and we'll get an easy resolution on this.
Okay, that would put us out to April 26th. How are we up with speedy trial?
Believe this would be Mr. Cooper's first pretrial. If we need to do an additional waiver, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Good. If we're going out 2 months, let's get an additional waiver just to make sure we're within time. And Mr. Cooper, stay in touch with your attorney. We'll see you back here in April.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Go ahead and send your report date. I'll fill this out real quick. Try to get you to sign it. The next one would be Liam Granis.
Court calls for Liam Granis. All right, you are Liam Granis?
Yep. Yes.
Mr. Duncanson?
Yes, so he's on for pretrial. I believe this is his first pretrial. I unfortunately just skipped over Mr. Grandis's name on the docket, so I wasn't actually able to communicate with Mr. Rhodes about this, though in speaking with Mr. Grandis, I do think it'll be fairly easy to resolve. I would just ask for a 1-month continuance.
Okay, any objection from the city?
Objection.
Mr. Grandis, your case will be reset to next month. We will see you back here on March 22nd.
All right.
Okay, stay in touch with your attorney, sir.
I will.
And I do got a good contact number for Mr. Grandis. Go ahead and sign over there. The next matter ready would be Daryl Wakeman.
Okay, the court calls for Daryl Wakeman. And you are Daryl Wakeman?
Yes, sir.
And the court should have a statement of defendant on plea of guilty.
I do have one in the court file. Is that the plan today? There will be entry of a plea today?
Yes, I do believe there's going to need to be a couple motions from the city, specifically motion to dismiss the disorderly conduct and amend the resisting charge to obstructing.
The city so moves, Your Honor.
And as far as the change of plea to the obstructing, I've gone over the document with Mr. Wakeman. He understands his rights he's given up by pleading guilty. I've also gone over the recommendation, and he understands that it's just that, a recommendation.
All right, so Mr. Wakeman, you're following where things are going here. The city's moving to amend the resisting arrest to obstructing and moving to dismiss the disorderly conduct charge as part of the agreement. Okay. All right, Mr. Wakeman, I have before me a document that was filled out by your attorney. It's called Statement of Defendant on Plea of Guilty. Did you go through this document with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You understand the rights that you have in this court and the rights that you will give up upon entering a plea of guilty?
Yes.
Okay. This crime, the amended charge of obstructing, carries a maximum penalty of 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There's a recommendation being made to the court that any and all jail time should be suspended and that the court impose a fine of $250. You understand I don't have to follow that recommendation?
Yes, sir.
All right, to the crime of obstructing, what is your plea to that charge?
Guilty.
Is that a free and voluntary plea? No one's made any threats to get you to make this plea?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the plea is accepted, satisfied with the statement of facts. And Mr. Rhodes, just for house cleaning purposes, your name is not on here, but that is the recommendation, correct?
That is the recommendation, and I endorse the acceptance of the plea.
The parties have a right to make a statement, including Mr. Wakeman, before I impose a sentence. Does anyone want to take a moment to state anything?
Just ask that the court follow the recommendation. I believe the charge of obstructing much better fits the facts of the case than the original or resisting or disorderly.
Okay, I followed the recommendation of the parties. All time is suspended. $250 fine is imposed. Mr. Wakeman, you'll be on unsupervised probation for a period of 12 months. During that time, you're not to have any new violations of the law. And make sure you pay your fine as well. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. That concludes your case today. The court clerk will be right out with a document for your signature.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
250. The next matter would be Christian Hall. He's
And I
present on Zoom.
see Christian Hall is on Zoom today. There we go. And you are Christian Hall?
Yes, Your Honor.
The matter comes on today for your pretrial conference. It was set over from last month. What are we doing today, gentlemen?
Yes, I'm going to request one more set over. We do have a resolution in this matter. I've spoken with Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Hall. I just wasn't able to get the paperwork to Mr. Hall in a timely manner today, so.
Okay. Mr. Hall, you understand what's going on here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to grant your attorney's request to set the case over 1 month. We will send out notice of your next court hearing, which is March 22nd. We'll see you back here at that time.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The other matter that would be ready is Sarah Weber.
Yep, I see Miss Weber. There we go. Hello. Okay, we have a couple charges coming on the pretrial docket today. Sarah Weber is appearing by Zoom along with her attorney, who is present in the courtroom, and Mr. Rhodes, the city attorney, present by Zoom today.
Yes. I've been working with Miss Weber in an attempt to get her license back and get the ignition interlock figured out. I've been in communication with Mr. Rose, and I believe the agreement is just to continue this a month. There's just a couple things holding up Miss Weber's license at this point.
Mr. Rhodes?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, well, the court will allow the case to be set over 1 month, and notice of the March 22nd court hearing will issue in the mail. So Ms. Weber, make sure we have a good mailing address for you, and stay in touch with your attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And that concludes your case today.
Have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And then I believe the Galaxy A51 is either Mr. Golke or Travis Roberts.
If Mr. Golke is present, will you please turn on your video?
There we go. Hello there.
Hello.
So this is another one that I'm going to request a 1-month continuance. I've spoken with Mr. Rhodes. I believe we have an agreement that has at least been endorsed by the victim. Mr. Rhodes just needs to follow up with a couple more things, but I'm hopeful that we'll have a resolution. If we get the resolution sooner, I might try to note it up for a special set if we can get that in.
Mr. Rhodes?
No objection. Everything council said is accurate.
All right, Mr. Golke, you understand what's going on here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to grant your attorney's request to set the case over 1 month. We will send notice out in the mail. Your next hearing date will be March 22nd. Sounds like the attorneys are making some headway, so stay in touch with your attorney and we'll see you back here next month.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Can the person using a Galaxy S21 5G please identify themselves, turn on their video and their microphone? And you
Yeah, I
are-
was part of Daniel Golke's case. I'm the other half of that, so
Oh, okay.
I
okay.
wasn't sure if I'm supposed to be on this every time we have this meeting or what. So
It's up to you. If you know, it's a public courtroom, so if you get notice
Okay.
and you'd like to attend, you're more than welcome to.
okay, okay. Thank you. I appreciate your
All right.
time.
Thank you.
Bye.
I have not seen Mr. Arnold pop back on. Do you have anything else ready, Mr. Duncanson?
There are a few more people that have walked into the courtroom, but it looks like Mr. Arnold might be ready, and so I can go talk to those people real quick.
All right.
I'm here, Your Honor.
Mr. Arnold, you are here on City versus Douglas Zimmerman. Is your client attending today?
Is he not in the courtroom, Your Honor?
I'm not sure. I didn't see him on Zoom, so the court's calling for Douglas Zimmerman. Mr. Zimmerman's in the courtroom. Please step forward.
Mr. Zimmerman is not present, Your Honor.
Okay. Has there been any contact with the court?
No.
Mr. Arnold?
Your Honor, I would ask just for another court date. I believe Mr. Zimmerman has been to every court date outside of this one. I don't have anything to add other than that, Your Honor. I have no explanation for why he isn't participating today. I'm sorry.
Mr. Rhodes, what's the city's position?
No objection to noting the FTA for speedy trial purposes and resetting 1 month.
All right. The court will do just that. We're going to note Mr. Zimmerman's absence today for purposes of speedy trial, and we will reissue notice of this case setting for March 22nd. So, Mr. Arnold, I think that's all you have on today's docket. So if that's true, you're free to log off.
Thank you. And I apologize. I was in Superior Court.
That's fine.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Mr. Rhodes, are there any pro se matters that you have?
Your Honor, the only one that I'm aware of is Epperson, who I've had some phone contact with. Don't have a resolution in place. Would just be asking for a 1 month continuance.
All right, well, the city versus Epperson matter will be set over to next month. Notice will issue in the mail. And then, Mr. Rhodes, I did see there's a contested infraction with an attorney. Is that matter resolved?
Your Honor, I don't believe it is resolved. I believe that counsel and I have exchanged communications and not connected. I don't know if it's the same matter I'm thinking about. Either way, I don't have an objection to resetting this, and I'll reach out to council.
Okay, well, it's not on until 2:21, so we'll see if the attorney appears at that time. Mr. Duncanson, is there anyone else in the courtroom waiting for you?
Yes. Yes, I have a couple more present in the courtroom.
All right, who would that be?
First one would be Donald Brown.
Okay, the court calls for Donald Brown. Matter comes on for pretrial conference today.
I'm going to request a 1-month continuance. This was my first contact with Mr. Brown. I've gotten a good number for him, so I'm hopeful we'll be able to discuss his case and we'll have an idea of what's going to happen next month. I have also spoken with Mr. Rhodes, so I do have an offer pending and on the table. So,
Okay. Well, at council's request, the case will be set over 1 month. Mr. Brown, stay in touch with your attorney. Make sure he's got a valid phone number and address for you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
the next one would be Richard Newman.
All right, the court calls for Richard Newman.
This is on for a trial status. I will just say for the record, Mr. Newman has signed a waiver of jury trial. I thought I had it in my stack of stuff for this afternoon, but I think I might have left it sitting on my desk. So once I get back to my office, I will get that scanned over to the court.
So if I'm understanding things correctly, you are looking for a date for a bench trial, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, what days do we have available for a bench trial?
We usually have bench trials on the third Wednesday of the month. But I don't know that that really matters.
Okay. Let me see here. And Mr. Rhodes, is this a case, like if we did a trial setting for next month on the 17th, is this a case that you'll be able to have witnesses present within that short turnaround period? Sorry, I'm looking at March 16th.
I was on mute. What I was saying is I don't actually know at this point because I haven't tried to issue subpoenas because we didn't have a date yet.
Okay. And what I'm going to do, because that date in March does not work for me. We could do a trial setting on April 20th. And I'll discuss with Madam Clerk the time, but how does that date work for everybody?
That should work for me. I do have the recurring dependency docket every Wednesday, but that should be enough time that I can move things around and make sure I don't have any of my cases on for that date.
Okay. And do you anticipate this would be a full day bench trial, Mr. Duncason, or half day? I'm just trying to figure out when we should schedule the trial to begin.
Yeah, I'm thinking to be on the safe side, probably a full day.
Okay. And I think what I'll do, I'm gonna set it for April 20th to begin at 10 o'clock. I'll start it a little later than we normally start jury trials. So that's our date, April 20th at 10 a.m. We will see the parties back in court on that day.
Perfect, thank you.
And there's no need for confirmation next month.
Nope.
Okay. April 10th it is. Stay in touch with your attorney, Mr. Newman.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that concludes your case.
So step right over there, get the date. The next person present in the courtroom would be Ronald McGraw.
All right, the court calls for Ronald McGraw. Mr. Duncason?
Yeah, sorry, I was just adding the trial in my calendar real fast before I forgot. So Mr. McGraw's on for a sentencing compliance. I believe it's due to treatment. He was here last month, indicated that he had been going to Gary Kolb for counseling, but hasn't been able to get a hold of him for quite some time. That's continued to be the case. At this point, I've kind of advised him to maybe cut his losses with Mr. Kolb and see if he can't get his evaluation transferred over to STOP or someplace a little bit easier to communicate with.
Okay. Mr. McGraw, the last piece of information I have from Mr. Kolb is dated November of last year. There's been nothing in addition to that. I'm going to grant your attorney's request to set the case over 1 month, and we'll see where things are at, what luck you've had with getting in with a new treatment provider.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
good, Your Honor. That's great. Where do I get
Okay, we will issue notice of your hearing on March 22nd, so stay in touch with your attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you call my week? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I see that Mr. Kupka has come into our courtroom.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And who are you here for?
Your Honor, the first one I have is Alexis Blavelt, cause number 1A00899967. Ms. Blavelt is present via Zoom.
Okay.
Your Honor, the parties are in agreement to continue this matter 1 month. We should have a formal settlement agreement completed by that time. We're working out the terms right now.
Okay. Mr. Rhodes and Mr. Kupka, just by the last name, I'm assuming this is relation to Art Blavelt, who's also the judge in Oakville Municipal Court, where I'm city attorney. Do the parties see any potential conflict for me, or are they willing to waive conflict? I don't know the young lady at all, other than she's related to Mr. Blavelt.
Your Honor, I'm not familiar with the judicial canons, so I can't speak to that. But what I can say is, even if there was a conflict, I would waive it. I don't think there is, but
Mr. Rhodes?
All right, I'd be inclined to say that I don't see a conflict here, but like Mr. Kupka, if there was one, would waive it. Don't have any concerns about the court hearing this matter.
Okay. Well, I'll take a look over the judicial canons for now. Since I'm just granting a request for continuance, I'll go ahead and grant that, and we will see everyone back here on March 22nd.
Great. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, because this is these are infractions, would the court, if we have an agreed order that resolves it, does the court still require Ms. Blauvelt's attendance to engage in a
No.
court? Okay. So if we have it resolved by some other resolution, in writing, we can waive her presence, correct, Judge?
Correct. It's an infraction, Mr. Kupka.
Perfect. Thanks, Judge. All right. Take care, Alexis.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Kupka?
I do, Judge. The court has assigned to me Cameron Combs, class number 1A02470034. And I believe he's in custody at the county jail, not on this matter, but on a different matter.
I did not check the jail registry. So we'll note the defendant's absence for the record. Will reset to next month and see where things are at.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Appreciate that.
Okay, is that it, or do you have any more cases?
That's all I had, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one person who's identified as Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5G. Can you identify yourself?
Yeah, this is Mr. Epperson.
Oh, Mr. Epperson, your attorney called your case a while
Yeah,
ago.
so I got a letter from Mrs. K. Guler, and the Zoom meeting ID does not have a 9 at the end of it. And it's also says it's scheduled for 1:30. When I try to log in on my iPhone, it kept saying the ID number was invalid. And then when I put a 9 at the end, because that's what the number was for the last court case, it would log me in, but it said that there's another case in trial. So then I logged in here on my Android device with the 9 at the end, and I already tried to email her, and it said that
She's in the middle of court right now.
Right. Well, the
Well,
message
you're here, Mr.
address
Epperson. You're here right
is
now.
undeliverable. The mailer demon popped up and said that the address to her k.guler@wa.courts.gov was undeliverable. So something's wrong with her email address. But anyways, I'm here now. I'm sorry for being late.
You're here. Mr. Rhodes?
You know, as I stated earlier, when the court called this case, I've had significant contact with Mr. Epperson. We don't have an agreed resolution in place. Mr. Epperson made some requests for materials. We've provided that. At this point, I think from the city's perspective, we'd like to request a 1-month continuance so that he and I can continue to discuss this matter and at least attempt to craft a resolution if we can.
Okay. Mr. Epperson, the city had already made a request for a continuance. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, I requested the video over 2 weeks ago with certified mail, and I talked to Greg, Mr. Rhodes, and he hasn't seen the video. I think he said he requested the video. It's been over 2 months, and I still would like to reserve my right to a speedy trial, which I believe is 120 days after the arrest date. So I'd like to reserve that right, and I'd like to, see the discovery. All I got was some statements from people who were there that had no basis on, I mean, they actually work against each other. So I'm not sure what evidence the court has in continuing this matter any further. So that's where I stand.
All right, well, I'm gonna set a trial date of May 24th. And we'll have a status conference on March 22nd to see where things are at.
Sir, I didn't waive my right to a speedy trial.
Right, I understand that. May 24th is our earliest available date.
Okay, by default, doesn't that mean that the court will have to dismiss the case if they can't give me a speedy trial?
No, because I find that there's good cause to go out that far. We've been in the middle of COVID. We're just starting to get trials reset, sir, and so I'm
Okay,
setting
well,
this on as a priority. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you.
I'm not, sir, COVID doesn't relinquish our constitutional rights. And there's been ample time for the
And
police.
Mr. Epperson, I'll have to look back at my court order, but I think we're still, I had previously told speedy trial during parts of the pandemic. I'll have to relook at that, but it's either just now expired or is about to expire. So that's where we're at. I'm setting a trial date for May 24th, and that's the end of the discussion.
Well, hopefully that's enough time for the police to deliver discovery and for people to get their subpoenas. And yeah, so if that's what you choose to do, since you have the power invested in you, then that's what your choice is. And we all have to live by it. So
Yep,
there
and
we
you
go.
want, yeah, you wanted a trial date, I'm giving you the earliest one available. We could have done April, but the person ahead of you took that trial date.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I say something for the record, just since Mr. Epperson is here? I did ascertain that there was no video. The police asked for a video from the establishment where this alleged incident occurred. That the establishment did not have the video. The police never procured it. I've provided Mr. Epperson with every bit of discovery that is in my possession at this point.
Okay. Mr. Epperson, if there's something you feel exists that is out there, if the attorney has possession of it, he's required to disclose it. So you've heard what the city has said about a video. If you believe otherwise, you can always make a motion to the court.
Well, the paperwork, the statement from the officers said that they said that they reviewed a video, and if they didn't,
I haven't looked at the reports, nor will I.
there's no video for trial. So that, I guess it works against, I feel it works against me because I know that I'm innocent in this case, and I really wish there was the video because I feel that it would prove my innocence and it would help me in a civil case as well. But if the city didn't cooperate to procure that video, I guess that's on the city and doing their due diligence, and the record will show for it.
Okay. I think that concludes your hearing today. So we will see everyone back here March 22nd.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, we have, I think, an attorney here for an infraction hearing. There we go. Just trying to find where this is at. And I believe, counsel, you are present for Landon Pruitt, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that's right. I'm Kimlin Gallagher.
Okay. Our city attorney, Mr. Rhodes, is present today. are we moving ahead with a contested hearing? What would the parties like to do?
I had reached out last week. We had not been able to connect, so I don't know if, if he would like to have a minute to talk about it, that's fine.
First of all, council, I want to apologize that we did not connect last week. Sorry about that. I'd be amenable to continuing this 1 month. I can touch bases, and if there is a resolution, great. If not, we can continue on next month, if that's something you would be interested in.
Either way, sure. I think there's definitely some issues here today, but I'm happy to talk with you about it as well. So that's fine. We can set it over.
Okay, so if I'm hearing each of you correctly, there's an agreement to set the case over 1 month.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The two matters are going to be reset on our attorney docket, which falls on March 22nd of next month.
Okay. Same time.
Same time, same place.
Okay. All right. That's
Okay.
good. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Good afternoon.
Okay, I see Mr. Campbell is present.
That's right, Your Honor. I'm just setting up for my client here in Zoom, so if I can go grab him, I'll go grab him for John Niels.
Niels, okay.
Yeah, hang on a second.
All right, so the city calls for John Niels. Mr. Rhodes is present, Mr. Campbell is present, and the defendant is present. What are we doing today, gentlemen?
Your Honor, I think, we've had some negotiation on this, but I think we arrived at a point where we're not going to be able to settle it. So I think we need to start looking at a jury trial setting, and I'm not sure where the court is on that, just given everything, but I think that's where we are right now.
Okay. Well, we are beginning to set jury trials. I currently have one set for May 24th. I'm inclined to set this one for the same day. And then, if one cancels, the other one will take precedence, and I'll take them in the order. I'll give precedence to the order of charging date when we get down to the wire. So trial date is set for May 24th.
Okay.
And let's do confirmation status conference for April 26th.
Okay.
Okay, is discovery dealt with? Anything hanging out there?
Yeah, I have the reports. I don't see any discovery issues at this time.
Okay, Mr. Rhodes?
I don't foresee any issues.
All right, sir. Well, stay in touch with your attorney. We'll have everyone back here for jury confirmation April 26th, and we'll see if the case will go to trial on May 24th.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Timothy Teagan present by Zoom. And Mr. Duncanson, is Mr. Teagan a client of yours?
Yes, he is one of my clients.
Okay. comes on for pretrial today.
Yes, I have not had a chance to speak with Mr. Teagan about his case. I do have a good phone number for him now as he called my office as he was having trouble getting into Zoom. So he's going to request a 1-month continuance and I'll be in touch probably in the next couple days.
Mr. Teagan, can you hear everything?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sounds like you and your attorney now know how to communicate.
Yep.
Okay. We'll set this over to our pretrial calendar next month, which is March 22nd. So stay in touch with your attorney and we'll see everyone back here on that date.
Okay, just make sure, can I update my phone number with you guys and all that stuff?
If you want to get it out over Zoom, you can. I see we have an email address for you. What's a good number you'd like us to know of?
253-676-5003.
All right, we got it in the court file.
All right.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's it?
That's it.
Thank you.
Mhm. Mr. Duncanson, do you have anyone in the courtroom that you'd like to take?
Nope, no one else of mine are present. There is a Julie Corver present for sentencing compliance, but it appears that she would be pro se.
What about Christopher Wang?
So he called me this morning, and when I tried calling back, he didn't answer. However, from what Madam Clerk said, he was unable to even walk out of his trailer to get a dial-a-ride here. I will say, just for the record, I spoke to Mr. Rhodes about this morning as well, and the plan is just to continue this for 2 months, see if Mr. Wang remains in compliance, and then I believe the city will be moving to dismiss their motions to revoke.
Mr. Rhodes, is the city in agreement?
City's in agreement. The plan was to continue it for a few months and monitor continued compliance with treatment and see where that led us here.
Okay. Well, the court will set this matter over to April 26th. We will issue notice in the mail to Mr. Wang. And Mr. Duncanson, did you say there is a Julie Corver present?
She's not mine anyway, so. Yeah.
All right, the court calls for Julie Corver. Hey, you are Julie Corver?
I am.
Looks like we received indication on February 15th that you started your electronic home monitoring. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and we allowed you to attend AA meetings during your EHM. So is that all working out for you?
I've been so ill that I'm still not getting to regular meetings. I'm hoping by next week. I'm really actually looking forward to the 6 months of home arrest.
Okay.
I got all my stuff in my new apartment and then I get time to recover. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for next week to
Okay.
start.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and set this over a couple months to April 26th, and we'll see where your status is at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rhodes, I see that we have a city's motion to revoke on a Tina Reynolds, and it appears Miss Reynolds is present. Miss Reynolds, do you have video capability?
How's that? I'm sorry, I'm at work. Thank you.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, Mr. Rhodes, this comes on the city's motion.
All right, I believe the issue was proof of an evaluation.
Mr. Duncanson, do you represent Miss Reynolds?
I did on the original charge, and I am on the docket. I haven't had a chance to speak with Miss Reynolds about where she's at with treatment or what's going on though, so.
Miss Reynolds, do you know how to get in contact with your attorney?
No, I don't, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we will get you his contact information, and since it sounds like you two need to communicate, we'll set the case over a month. And
Can I ask a question about this?
I may or
Do I
may
have
not be able
to-
to answer it.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you say evaluation, can I just do a class? Because I'm having a hard time getting in to get an evaluation done.
Okay, that question is a question for you to run through your attorney so he can
Okay.
discuss it with the city attorney.
Okay,
All right, well, Mr. Duncanson, we will get your contact information to Miss Reynolds. Do you have good contact information for her?
I don't believe I do. I just have an old phone number from over a
Okay.
year ago, so.
Miss Reynolds, once you receive Mr. Duncanson's contact information, it's going to be upon you to reach out to him.
Okay.
And make contact.
okay.
All right. We will see the parties back here next month. In the meantime, you're free to go. Just make sure you're doing what you need to do.
Will I get it through the mail, the information, or do I call the courts?
We can, I was planning to have my court clerk send it by
Okay.
mail.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, do we have anyone else in the courtroom?
No one else is present in the courtroom.
Okay, I don't see anyone else on Zoom. I'm gonna go through the arraignments really quick. We have City versus Terrence Albert. Mr. Alberts failed to appear. The court will go ahead and reset this case 1 month. Next arraignment is City versus Julio Gonzalez. Court will also reset that case 1 month. City versus Edward Osterberg. Looks like we still have an outstanding warrant for Mr. Osterberg, so I'm gonna leave that set. City versus Aaron Palmer. I've recused myself from that. Mrs. Rogers, the city's presenting an order. And then we have an infraction review for Lynn Tressa. I'll take a look at that later. Mr. Duncanson, we had a trial status for Vasily Borisov. I don't see him present.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report on that, or I guess he tried calling me last week. I tried calling him back and got no answer. So other than this time, I believe Mr. Borisov's been pretty good about appearing. I do know he resides in Tacoma and has had car troubles in the past. I would just maybe ask that we note his FTA, strike the trial, and reset.
Okay, the court hereby strikes the trial. And we will reset for pretrial status conference, March 22nd.
Also, just so for the court is aware, Madam Clerk pointed out to me that the Lynn Tressa that you had called on the infraction also has an arraignment. It's the Tressa Lynn Derakunis. They're apparently the same person.
Oh, I see.
Which is on for an arraignment for a DWS 3.
We will go ahead and reset everything to next month. And then, do you know the whereabouts of your client, Jesus Pacheco?
He's in custody.
Okay. We will note his absence for the record and reset that case as well. See if we can't bring him over next month. What about Travis Roberts?
Yeah, so he he had trouble getting into Zoom. I think the plan, I spoke with Mr. Rose, and the plan was to just set over a month, as there's a chance the city may be dismissing, but we'll see.
Okay. If there's no objection from the city, the court will reset the Travis Robert matters 1 month and note his absence for the record.
No objection.
And then that brings us to compliance hearings. Did you call Ronald McGraw already?
Yes.
Okay. Court calls for Jack Cody. 12-month SOC with no cause. Mr. Rhodes, it looks like we are at the end of a stipulation and order. Have you looked at recent printout of the defendant's case history.
Your Honor, I haven't, but assuming no new law violations, I think we'd be in compliance.
I'm not, the last printout I have is dated January of this year. So I think he's in compliance, and the charge pursuant to the parties' agreement will be dismissed with prejudice. Okay, then we have City versus Todd Meadows.
Looks like not my client. He doesn't appear to be present, but Madam Clerk showing me a note that she has received the reports.
I see a report in here, so I think we can go back to bench monitoring. And then there's a motion to revoke on a Dale Montgomery. And it looks like our mail was returned. Well, we don't have a good address for him any longer, it appears, and so Mr. Duncanson, you're not appointed on this matter still, are you?
I'm still on the docket, but I haven't had any contact with Ms. Montgomery, and the last number I tried isn't valid, so.
Then the court's going to issue a bench warrant in the amount of $1,000. Mr. Rhodes, we have a really old case on for review. It's on the 2 o'clock docket, Amanda Blair.
Yeah, Eric.
I have a note in the file that Eric Kupka waiting for Mr. Rhodes. Have you been in any discussion with Mr. Kupka?
I haven't, Your Honor. I do have a notice of appearance in my file.
Yeah, I have that too. It looks as though it was filed December 20th. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to reset this case.
I'll reach out to Mr. Kupka regarding our mutual understanding of the status of this matter.
Okay. I believe that concludes the court's docket today. So, all right, everyone, I'm going to keep doing the hybrid model for a while here. I don't know if we'll go back to full-time in-person court or not, but for the inevitable future, we're going to be doing it this way. All right. I think that concludes everything. Mr. Duncanson, you don't have anything left, do you?
Nope, I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, have a good day, and we'll see everyone next month.
Thank you, Your Honor.